experiencias, relatos y hasta una discusión de amor y odio. Pues para concluir con nuestra agenda del día de hoy, quiero darle la introducción a nuestro próximo charlista y antes de quiero decirle lo que me ha pasado. A veces cuando yo estoy en línea, que contacto una compañía y estoy hablando con el servicio al cliente a través de un chat, me hago la pregunta, ¿será esto un agente de verdad o será un bot? No sé ustedes, yo me he hecho esa pregunta y a veces le pido hasta que me llame. Nuestro próximo charlista, Jasmin Greenaway, Cloud Developer Advocate de Microsoft con más de 8 años de experiencia, nos explicará cómo funcionan los bots, o sea, ella va a responder mi pregunta, cómo estos combinan inteligencia artificial y machine learning en su charla Who Say That? Conversations with Chatbots. Welcome.
I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft. I'm coming to you all the way from good old Brooklyn in New York City. And I'm super happy to be here because this is my second Code Camp SDQ. My first one actually was my first international talk where I consequently did speak about chatbots as well. But I have a new talk for you today. So I'm super excited to get started. So we're gonna get to the slides. So if you don't know me, like I said before, my name is Jasmin Greenaway, and you can find me under the handle Paladik, under Twitter and mostly GitHub. Those are the two that I'm usually the most active on, so you can find me there. So let's talk about the fundamental definition of a bot. We know that the underlying technology of a bot is usually code or some kind of technology, and at its core, a bot is essentially an application that will do specific tasks for you. So that can be as simple as setting an alarm clock, answering a question, or even doing things even more a little bit advanced, like gathering analytics. But before I go into more about what bots can do and what they can do for you, I just want to walk you through some bot history because as somebody who grew up with the internet when it was really starting to be more very social, and we had America Online and CompuServe and all these things, bots had a presence back then as well. So one of the things that I always chuckle at when I look at a form or anything like that, it has one of these things called a reCAPTCHA, where it's just a safeguard protecting companies or any bad actors from a malicious bot. So that's one, and because in the past, these bots were, and some of them are still pretty malicious, grabbing private information, adding things to your computer that you don't want, things like that. But one of my favorite ones, and ones that you've probably seen, is Clippy from Microsoft Word. And this is just, yes, it's a paperclip, but it's a paperclip that's looking at what you're doing, not in a weird way, but just asking you if you want assistance with your document that you might be working on. So, it sees that, you might have made a change in this example here, and it'll ask you, do you want to save those changes? Because remember, in the past, autosave wasn't really, as popular as it is today. And the other one that I really remember from way back when is Smarter Child, American Online or AOL or AIM's instant messenger bot. So you could look up Smarter Child and, kind of converse with it, and it would give you some, answer based on what you ask it. So those are pretty much three bots that I remember, or 3 examples of bots I remember from my past. So let's talk about why bots are helpful. So if you ever had a manual task and you've thought about maybe automating it, or maybe, it's just so simple that you could find it easy to maybe write a script or do something so you don't have to keep on doing it manually, a bot is really helpful for this. So for example, if I want to make a reminder, I could ask a bot to make a reminder, or even not even realize it's a bot because it's well embedded into maybe something like a chat. And so one of my favorite examples of this is Slack. So this, what you're looking at is a little blurry, but what you're looking at right now is the Slack reminders feature. So you can essentially go in, and so what I'm doing is setting myself a reminder to drink more water. And I set this reminder to, and it's sped up. So I did wait the whole 2 minutes, but to get a notification from Slack saying that I need to drink water in 2 minutes. And so the output is this reminder that says that I can snooze it or mark it as complete. So, and as if you've ever used Slack, you know that one of the first people or things to greet you is Slackbot. So to make you feel welcome, make you feel like you're oriented in the chat. So let's talk about just chatbots specifically. And as you probably already gathered, a chatbot is a bot that takes input in the form of some kind of communication. So normally that's going to be text or voice. And the really interesting thing about chatbots is that sometimes, you'll ask for help and not even realize that you're talking to a bot. So in the example, maybe, you sent a message to maybe a customer service client or a chat client, and, ask how may I help you, and you get help, but you don't even realize that you were speaking to a bot the whole time. Again, taking some manual processes and making them, adding bots, because there's going to be some known inputs and some things that that a person who, somebody behind customer service desk are going to be able to help you some very, common tasks, and a bot can come in and do some of those tasks. So let's talk about some parts of the chatbot. And the way I like to describe it is really breaking it up into two parts. First is this knowledge base, and then the code sometimes, because bots have evolved so much to the point where to build a bot nowadays, you sometimes don't even need any code to build it. It's already the code that's there to create the bot is already there for you. So all you have to do is pick the parts and pieces of the bot that you want to create a fully functioning bot. And so when I think of the knowledge base, I think of the information that the bot needs to do its job. So this is not essentially the code, but this is maybe data that the bot will need to have access to be able to do its job. So let's take that image of the bot and just swap it out with a chat client. And that, again, is a bot. And remember that, this chat client is just this interface, this UI for a bot. And again, even with, this UI and this app looking different than that image of the bot that we're using, you can still sometimes have code or have access to the code. But again, as we see, we always still have that knowledge base. So with the Microsoft Bot Framework, this is really a central location for you to be able to build your bot, whether that's in code, and the Bot Framework has SDKs to support bot creation from code in C#, JavaScript, and Python. And if you don't want to, write any code for your bot, there is a tool called the Bot Framework Composer that you can use to build your bot without code. Other great thing about the bot framework is there's a bunch of other tools to help you. For example, language understanding, which we'll get into in a second here, channels, so you can deploy your bot to things like Teams, even Slack, Skype, things like that. And then you can also add things like skills, and these are just customizable tasks that you can add to your bot. So yeah, lots going on in this chart, but that's just how much features are in the bot framework. So let's talk about natural language processing before we get on to example of these bots. So natural language processing is just it's a data science or machine learning term that encompasses how computers communicate with us so that we can understand each other. So normally when someone asks you, hello, how are you? You'll normally say good and how are you? And, so a data scientist or uh, a, a data engineer or even like a machine learning engineer who is, versed or experienced in natural language processing. This is type of conversations that they're interested in. So what they're developing and what they're coding is this natural language, and not only the language but the context. So when I look at this next example here, I want to make sure that the scientist or the data scientist, whoever is, specialized in natural language processing, is thinking about the context, because we know that the way language is processed or expressed changes from language to language, from region to region. So that those things are important as well. So when it comes to solving problems specifically, we can use specific keywords and words to really look into what the user is trying to do. In other words, we like to call this the intent. What is the user's intent when they say, I need help with order number 1, 2, 3? So those are two pieces of information right there, that somebody in customer service can look up and say, okay, this person needs help with order 1, 2, 3. And usually that's going to take some kind of looking up in a database or some kind of app or tool that they use to look up this person's order. But a computer, we can write code to do that too. So a engineer or a machine learning scientist would take a conversation like this and know how to create a model so that a computer could understand when somebody asks this question all the way on the left here, they would know how to grab that order all the way on the right. So this is where LUIS comes in also, and this stands for language understanding. And this is another service that is part of the bot framework that allows you to collect those things, like I mentioned, intents, and map them to things called entities. So in this example that we're looking at here from the docs, if someone says, hey, I want to call my HR rep, then language understanding, whatever this model was trained to do, it knows that if someone says HR and they want to call their HR rep, that they want an HR contact. So their intent is to get the contact of HR. And so that is why when they get, that is why the response is the HR rep is John Smith, so on and so forth. So on that note, that's all pretty much that I wanted to cover as introduction to bots. But now we're going to get into 2 demos here. And these are going to be in C#. And at the end of this presentation, I will share links to the code. So let's take a look at this first bot. So this first bot is called my HTTP bot. And what this bot is going to do is it's actually going to send a HTTP request to a Logic app that I have. And a Logic app, by the way, is just a serverless offering through Azure that allows you to pretty much have like a no-code experience of setting up a serverless serverless process. So for example, so here's my endpoint. So here's my endpoint here that my bot will speak to, and then it'll put it in a queue. And then in this queue, using this queue, I will grab messages from my queue and put it in this little extension that I built here just to quickly read messages from the queue. So I'm going to go back to my code here, and I'm just going to run it. So .NET run. Okay, now it's running, and now I am going to just restart my conversation. So what we're looking at right now in here is the bot framework emulator. And what the bot framework emulator is just a way for you to locally test your bot without having to deploy it first and then figure out what's going on and debug. You can actually debug and test your bot locally before deploying it. And I actually really love this because it's so fast to install, and it's like a really amazing tool. And it has like all these diagnostics and telemetry and stuff like that you can go through. Okay, so my bot's greeting me. It says, "Hello, welcome to this bot." I'm gonna say hello. And now it's asking me my name, and I will say Jazz. And what is your message? And I'll say, "Hello, Code Camp SDQ." Great. So I got this. So my last message here is "Thank you for your message." And if I get this message, that means that my message was successfully sent. So I'll show you exactly where that is as soon as I show you what it looks like in the extension. So if I actually were to look at the history of my Logic app, then my message would be there, but I should be able to see it up here. So I have some other messages from testing, as you can see in my queue, and more testing. There we go. There it is. So this is a message from Jazz. "Hello, Code Camp SDQ." So a very, very simple example. In fact, I actually copied this from the very basic bot example that they provide in the docs repo. It's a very simple Echo bot. So what I essentially did was I took that example code and pretty much went through the docs and built this bot that has that essentially replies to your messages. So I guess I'll just essentially go through two short parts here. So this function here on message activity async, this is how the bot replies to me. So essentially this code will run when I reply or send the message to the bot. And the "hello and welcome to this bot" message was another function or method that will run whenever someone else gets added to the bot. And then this part here is where I fill out all the information about the user, which essentially only is their name and their message. And so, essentially you want to set it up in terms of steps for your bot. And as you can see, this is sort of kind of in steps, but it could be, I could, change it up a bit, and we'll see that in the next bot here. And then this last part is just how I sent the response from the user to my Logic app. So like I said before, there's a lot in this. There's a lot of code here. So I will send you a link so you can check it out for yourself if you're interested. Now, the second bot that I'm going to show you is called the Lewis bot. And this one's a very simple example of grabbing some docs and samples from Microsoft based on the technology that you'd like to use. So I'm just going to go into Lewis first here and show you what Lewis looks like. So when you first go into Lewis, you'll be in your dashboard, but the real main part of it is this build view here. And so here are my intents, and these are the verbs, the things that the user who is using my bot will want to do. So here I know they're going to want to learn. And so in here, I have some learning topics that they might be interested in. Now you see these blue lines under here, those are entities. And so these entities are going to be these technical terms, or that I have labeled tech interests. So ASP.NET, F#, I want to learn about XYZ. But here I know that either if I want to learn, I'm going to either get documentation or samples. So again, manually, I set these entities myself. So I add this data myself. And once I was, all set and ready to use my model, I hit train here, I hit publish, and I can actually test my some input here as well. So if I said I wanted to learn want to learn, let's say F sharp. And you can see that with a 99% chance that it's saying that I want to learn, and I can actually go into it, and I'll also see that the entity that I want to learn about is F sharp. Okay, so let's go and look at the code here one more time. So again, you can see another message activity async. So that essentially means when I reply the bot's going to send me something. And notice that my conversation, all my conversation is not in here anymore. So we'll take a look at that as soon as I run this demo. So let's run this demo here. Okay. Uh-oh. Let's see here. Looks like I might have, oh, yes. I have to close, I have to end this. Now I can run this. Okay, great. Now let's restart my conversation. And again, it says, hello, welcome to the spot. Let's just say hello. And now it's asking me what kind of learning resources I want. And notice that at this point, I'm not entering the text myself. I'm actually just clicking either docs, samples, or both. So let's go with both here. And let's add a language. Let's add, so this is asking for a language, but it has been trained to understand some other technical terms. So let's try Docker. So like I said, this is asking for a language, but I'm just going to try a technical term and see what happens. Docker. So now it's just asking me confirmation, and it's asking me if I want to see both in Docker, and that's correct, and it's giving me a yes or no answer, or a yes or no choice. So I'm going to say yes, and there we go. So if I click on this, I won't open it up, but if I click on this, it'll take me to the docs page, and it'll look for the terms Docker. So that essentially means that, when I initially trained my Lewis model, I was training just for languages. But I started to realize that, as I was entering my data, that I was adding actual technologies and not just languages. So my model is now trained to learn to know technologies and also languages. So walking through this, I'm actually going to take you to the content dialog, because that's actually where all the action is. So in the bot framework, there is a thing called the waterfall dialog, and this is just a way for you to set up each text and each input and output that you expect in sequential order. And it's just a really nice way for you to organize your conversation. And a dialogue essentially is just steps of a conversation. That's all it really means. So here I am, I created these steps, create these step names myself. And I go through here and I add some API keys and some keys to .NET, or to my configuration file, so that I can connect to Lewis. And then in the area where I am sending the results, oh, right here, confirm choices, where I confirm my choices, here is where I use Lewis. So, and it's in this class here called content recognizer. So in here, if for some reason that my bot Lewis does not recognize the technical term that the user put in, then this message will show up. And I was actually trying to make this message pop up and for it to expect that this Docker term is actually not is a new term, and so it wouldn't be recognized by the bot, but it sounds like it was. So let's look in Lewis to see what it thinks it was. So if I go to manage here, oh, excuse me, if I go to build here and I go to review endpoint utterances here, it'll show me all the input that I have in here. And let's see, we'll say that's a tech interest that thinks it's a person, but it is a learning term. So I'll add that. Docker's in here, it thinks it's a learning term. See that it's at 84%. So great. So I'll just add these and say, yes, those are definitely the proper intents. And I could actually just go ahead and train and publish my model again and test it if I wanted to. So that is it for demos. And these demos are also in Node. So if you're more comfortable with JavaScript, you can find examples in JavaScript as well. So going to the end of the slide here, I will just share just this link here. This is all you need. It'll take you to the repo, and the repo also has links on docs, a learn module, and some more information about the bots, including demo instructions and how to set up yourself. A lot of it is very straightforward, and it ends with the emulator. So if you're interested in deploying it somewhere, then there are links there for you to help you along with that. Also, there should be information there on the bot framework composer. I will double check after this presentation to make sure it's there for those of you who are interested in creating bots without code. It's actually a really great tool, so definitely check it out if you're interested. And that is it. Thank you all so much for coming to listen to my talk about bots. Great to be back here and to present and show you what I've been working on with all of you. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day.